All right, we are a go.
What's
What is
up,
going
guys?
on? What's happening? How's it doing?
So, this is the first UFC event to have some major scheduling issues, huh?
Oh yeah, the first one ever. Yeah.
Yeah. The first one since COVID to have like three main card fights have to just go out the window.
yeah, that was it's definitely it was definitely a bit of a curveball for Dana White and the UFC. Um I remember, within 36 hours before they had to do the official weigh-ins, uh there was just a mad dash to fill the cars, get everybody ready. I don't remember all the people that were, scheduled to do one thing over another. I do know that Derek Brunson and Edmund Shahbazyan was supposed to be the co-main. I forget who was supposed to be on the main,
It was supposed to be a women's bantamweight fight, but I forget who was in it.
right? Um, but then Joanne Calderwood and Jennifer Maya ended up being the co-main, and that was
I
really
believe it was I believe it was Holly Holm fighting somebody.
Oh yeah. I remember we covered this like last week,
Yeah.
something like that. And it was Holly Holm, yeah, like you said, versus somebody I can't even remember her name. But if you watched last week's episode, you probably know what it is.
Or the one before.
Yeah, or the one before, because I'm pretty sure we touched on it there too. But yeah, so this was definitely wild, and we even know that going into this one, there were still issues. Kevin Holland and Trevin Giles fell through for the opening of this main event. Trevin Giles unfortunately fainted right before he walked out. He was literally waiting in the wings, and then he just fainted. Um, we still don't know everything that was going on right there with him, but there's obvious things that were probably attributed to it, such as weight cutting, having to rehydrate, the nerves of going into the fight. Anything could have really so many different contributing factors. The commission made the right call. Told him he wasn't going to fight that night if he's fainting right before he goes out there. They don't want him to go get punched in the face or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, sent him to the hospital. Got that squared away. Kevin Holland, both guys got paid a little bit of money just for showing up, but obviously they didn't get paid their fight money. So probably just a little bit of a percentage of that from if I were to from what I gathered. And then Kevin
And they'll
Holland,
probably just get rescheduled.
yeah, I know they were looking to get Ed Herman to fight with Kevin Holland that night, but they couldn't really get a hold of him. They couldn't
Yeah,
really.
they were trying to throw that out there during some of the Twitters and stuff during the
Yeah,
main card.
yeah, and then Dana White, I think, said during the post fight conference that even when they did talk to Ed Herman, he wasn't really pleased with the idea. Makes sense, you can't really
Yeah.
push a fight on somebody that was
If
probably.
if somebody's like if somebody was like, "Hey, you don't have a fight," and then an hour later they're like, "Hey, do you want to fight this other guy?" You'd probably be like, "Nah."
I mean, Kevin Holland was the one that was even suggesting get Ed Herman out here because he wanted to fight. He had
Yeah.
because it's one thing for someone like Kevin Holland who had trained and was ready to fight somebody to then suddenly have to switch over to someone like Ed Herman who probably just wasn't, uh, you know, prepared at all. So it just makes sense. So I do know they're trying to get Kevin Holland scheduled to fight somebody a week or two from now. So we'll see what happens if he gets what he wants. We don't know, like I said, we don't know enough about Trevin Giles to really say when he's going to make a return. But our thoughts are with him, so that's good. But yeah, let's go ahead and do this in the format that we do this. We've got Derek Brunson versus the Golden Boy Edmund Shahbazyan. the protege of former UFC bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey. Um, he was a obviously for a lot of you guys probably already know he was up and coming. He was on like a he was on an 11 fight win streak. He finished his last 3 fights in all in the first round, and he was on a clear path, to becoming the next title contender. Excuse me.
From the middleweight division.
For the middleweight division, yeah. And he more or less turn you up
We'll
here.
just say he fell short.
He fell a little short because Derek Brunson.
Definitely, the first round, I felt like the first round he won.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he started off.
And then he got tired.
And yeah, he got really gassed out. I mean, Derek Brunson was really doing a good job. Derek Brunson being a man who has pretty much fought just about everybody you can think of.
In the middleweight division, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much fought everyone, and I'm pretty sure since like 2016, he's only lost to former or current champions.
Yeah.
So Anderson Silva, Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya, Jacare Souza, those kind of guys.
Yeah, and so pretty much all of the top 10, top 5 matches that he would have if he gets back to there would just be rematches.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty crazy. But it paints. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure the last week I made like a comment where I was just like, yeah, and Bronson's whole his whole highlight reel is him getting knocked out by the people who are at the top right now.
Yeah.
and now he's on a 3-fight winning streak. He's coming back after Israel Adesanya loss, and it's good to see him getting back up into the higher ranks.
Yeah, it's very nice because it paints a perfect picture of a young up and comer who still shows a lot of potential, a lot of promise. Because like we said, Shahbazyan did really well in the first round, probably won that round, landed some good shots, and even in the second round landed some good shots. Good body kick that was just like a loud thwack. I remember that. And every time he strikes Brunson, cleanly, it really kind of makes, Brunson take a step back. Every time he even blocks a shot, he's moving his whole body. So it was really nice. He did a really good job. But then it paints a picture of that young up-and-comer going up against a guy who just has so much experience. He has years upon years of experience. And he's a definition of a gatekeeper right now. And it was really cool seeing that this was I think at the time he was a plus 299 underdog. And I think it might have gotten bumped up to like 311 or something like that underdog. And he came back and he beat Golden Boy here. And I think that holds the record, or it's the second deepest underdog favorite to have come back and beaten the favorite, because I think the last one, the most significant one, was Michael Bisping, the plus 400 underdog, to beat Luke Rockhold.
Oh
yeah, and he won. So that's pretty good on Brunson's part. It's kind of weird because
don't you wish you could have placed that bet though?
Oh God, are you kidding me?
Put $100 on Bisping.
That would have been insane. I mean, that's why you would have made so much money off it, because it would have been insane, to think he would have won. But a lot of people would say the same about Brunson in this matchup. It's weird because I myself never really felt that way, because I err on the side of caution more often than not when it comes to things like this. I don't like to put all my eggs in one basket and say this is what is definitely going to happen. Like, oh, Shahbazyan's just going to go in there and clean shop. Because I usually
have like an inkling of which way I'm leaning, and then like I'll either be surprised or be like, oh, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, because
that's like a little bit different.
Yeah, because this was really the big ticket for Shahbazyan. This was his main event, his first main event that he is starring in. Derek Brunson is really the guy for him to beat. This was really the guy,
especially at this point in his career.
for sure. This was really, if you really wanted to see where Shahbazyan was in terms of his ability and his skill set, you put him up against a guy like Derek Brunson, and Derek Brunson's going to show up, and that's what happened. So that was really nice to see. And it's interesting because it seems like this really was the definition of a hype train, not in the sense that it wasn't somewhat deserving for Shahbazyan, because he is very skilled. But
when they're using like his photos and stuff of him training with Ronda, like in 2014 or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and they're just like, oh yeah, he's been in the game for a while. This is him when you didn't know it was him. Remember this promo?
Yeah, when he was 15.
Yeah, when he was getting his body slammed by Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
3 feet shorter.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like, okay, yeah, I get it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Me and this guy are the same age, and he's leaps and bounds
he's in the UFC right now.
above where I am.
He's on the main event Saturday, and we're talking about him right now.
Yeah, but it's kudos to him. But when you put him up against a guy like Derek Brunson, who he's so much more technical in his wrestling. I mean, just being able to wear down an opponent like Shahbazyan by being able to pressure forward, work in those takedowns, and then just keep up an incredible pace.
And then just let him burn himself out.
Yeah, fighting off a lot of this strikes. It was really something else, and good on Derek Brunson. Like I said, I take a lot of polls online sometimes about who I think is going to win in upcoming events. And it seemed like the majority of people really did think, Shahbazyan was just going to clean house on this, and Brunson wasn't going to take it. I did vote for Brunson just because I'm that kind of guy that saw.
But you like the underdog story.
I like the underdog story, but I also just kind of saw that there was just so much more experience under Brunson's belt. And Brunson's definitely shown up for fights before. So yeah, it was just, it's one of those things where it's just weird to me that so many people were fighting on the side of Shahbazyan, excuse me.
Yeah, because I had him winning, but the way I saw it playing out was that it was going to be a 3-round, just a 3-round fight, and that it was going to just be by points. Shahbazyan would win.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
I knew that Derek had good takedowns, but I didn't think that he was going to be able to get him down. I thought it was going to be a lot of put his back against the cage and just keep him there for a while.
Yeah.
And then break and they box out. I saw it going more that way. But then Brunson did have better good takedowns. And did you think it should have been ended in this after, right before the second round ended?
I mean, really, once he got him down. I mean, here, hold on. Let's look at this real quick, because I genuinely thought the same thing. Maybe it should have been stopped right before anything else. So just check this out. So this is right at the end of the second. Obviously, there's only 10 seconds left. Hopefully the shitty quality will keep us from getting copyright claims. Right here, there's elbow. He cuts him with that elbow.
And then he kind of he takes that little break.
Yeah, hold on. Replay that real quick. I'll show the cut right here. And then bam, elbow. And then apparently in his post-fight interview, he said that his coaches saw him take that elbow, and they said fire off 2 more elbows, yell out 2 more elbows. He hits him with a couple more shots right there. I mean, just this kind of ground and pound is just crazy. Hold on a second here, because it's really at the point where obviously when they're already on the ground pressed up like this, it's nothing really going here, but it's that, and then just pow 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 pow. it was really it's interesting to say maybe the fight should have been called off because it's almost like right around the point he gets all the way stretched out on his back like that
Yeah.
that it really makes you think, yeah, like he was already like not that he had necessarily given up, but he was done. He was just done.
Yeah. Because
What
the
was he?
way,
Look at the way he gets up afterwards. Let's look at that. Look at the way he kind of gets up and moves. He kind of stumbles a little bit. Look at the way he almost falls completely out of his chair, right
yeah,
there. Here's
and
another
then the
angle.
way, and then the way he was holding himself up against the cage when he had to stand.
Yeah, like he was literally just holding himself together in this fight. Obviously, I respect that. You know,
Yeah, he's
you love
trying.
to see it. He wants to stay in the fight, but I think definitely at around this point he was done. And the only thing that
Yeah.
really saved, I guess you could argue that the only thing that saved him was the
So are you gonna say Saved by the Bell?
yeah, maybe the bell was the only thing that saved him because if you had given that like 2 more seconds, you'd have to stop it because he wasn't defending himself. Um, he just wasn't, you know, it well, it's just tough. It's just tough, man. Like because obviously I put myself in the referee's position here. You know, in literally 5 seconds, in the last 5 seconds, Shahbazyan's getting torn up. He's getting wrecked. He's getting his shit run in. He's cutting his face. He can barely stand. He can barely sit. And it makes me say like, well, fuck, you know. I mean, look at Herb. Like Herb, he is so close to calling it off.
No, he even called the doctor out and gave him a little bit of a timeout.
Right. So if we were going to criticize anybody, that's probably the doctor's fault more than anything. He probably shouldn't have let Shahbazyan go back in there, um, because if at the end of the day, um, you know, it just to me, I think Herb made the right call, and he let it play out until the bell, just because you want to give the fighter every chance they have to be
Yeah.
able to let them, do whatever they must do. Um, but he recognized that Shahbazyan just wasn't at 100% anymore, and that something was wrong. So he called in the doctor, and it was really up to the doctor at that point to make the decision: should this guy continue? And I think the doctor might have dropped the ball a little bit on this one because it kind of seemed to me, obviously from the angle that we were shown during, between the rounds, it just didn't seem like Shahbazyan was very attentive with the doctor. He
The
wasn't maintaining a lot of eye contact.
the thing that I noticed the most is that along with what you said that he wasn't maintaining eye contact, the doctor was literally saying like look up here, and he'd be looking at the ground, and he'd be like, come on, like look up here, and then he's
Yeah,
just like, yeah, he's good.
yeah. And he literally said, "Are you
That's why
okay?"
yeah,
And Shahbazyan, of course, is going to say, "Yes, I'm fine."
yeah, I want that money.
Yeah, I want to try and beat this guy, even though I'm probably not in a good physical state to be able to do so. And then, of course, literally 20 seconds later into the third round, Brunson finishes the fight, and Herb does what he maybe should have done at the end of the second. But like I said, it was so close to the second round being over anyway that it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to. It's almost like he would have called it off right at the point that the bell rung anyway. You know, because he's doing the little hand wave, almost like he's trying to wave it off, but at the same time, he's like, well, it's just the end of the round. Let me get the doctor in here, and the doctor will make the decision. The doctor drops the ball, says he's good to go, but Herb sees that there's really nothing left that Shahbazyan can give. Shahbazyan just doesn't have anything left. He got taken down pretty easily, and now he's just getting ground and pounded again. Derek Brunson's seriously going to hurt this guy, so Dean had to call it off right then and there. So good on them. I think it ended the way it probably should have ended, the way it could have ended. But I do think that the doctor probably just should have been like, he's done. Can't
Yeah,
continue. Can't continue.
can't continue.
Yeah. So What about you? Do you have any? It's weird because even if somebody wanted to say something to the doctor or the ref, they can't now because then they'd be fired on the spot.
Yeah, you just now you have to go to Dana, tell Dana, and then Dana yells at him.
Yeah, it's what do you think about that? So on Friday, Dana came out and he said, after talking about all the different scheduling conflicts that they had, all the stuff they'd have to do, somebody asked him, what do you think about the dispute between Dan Hardy and Herb Dean? And Dana White said, if anyone, including Dan, ever does that again, I will fire you on the spot.
Yeah, but before he said that, he also said that with how that's set up now, how it's like an empty gym with just the commentators and everybody, it's a lot more personal, and you can interact that way in a way that you couldn't before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they definitely are going to have to set up different rules now. But I feel like you should have some kind of order, but at the same time, I feel like in the Dan Hardy instance, I was on Dan Hardy's side.
Yeah, because
But
and I think a lot of people could agree.
yeah, I agree in that situation, but then I also agree that you're supposed to have some kind of order in it where the people who are working for the company are arguing on a live broadcast.
Well, they did a good job during the broadcast because they actually didn't
Yeah,
show Dan Hardy directly confronting Herb Dean. We didn't know
yeah,
about that until after the broadcast, and
hmm
somebody had leaked photos about
yeah.
the dispute.
You could
Um,
kind of hear them say "stop the fight," but that's about as far as it goes.
oh, you can't kind of hear it. You heard it because
I know, but I was
Dan
talking about
Hardy
on the live.
stands
I was
up and is
talking
like,
about
"Stop the fight!"
on the live broadcast. It was a little bit different than how the video I saw afterwards.
Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, talking about that for just a second, really, it's if whoever you choose to side with, you're
Yeah,
entirely justified in doing so. If you believe that, you know, side with Herb Dean because he's the ref, and the ref is like one of the highest officials in that instance, and the call he makes is the call he makes, and nobody should tell him what call he should or shouldn't make. That's
yeah,
fine. That's understandable. But at the same time, you have to recognize that there are plenty of times where the referees drop the ball.
make mistakes. Yeah,
Exactly. Because referees are not infallible. They are
they're just as
human.
human as everybody.
Exactly. They're no different than you or me. Just because they know more about refereeing and they have all that experience does not mean that they can't make mistakes.
Sometimes they have all that experience and knowledge.
Sometimes they don't. Yes.
Yeah,
And with people like Dan Hardy, I mean, for one thing, he has experience as a fighter, and he cares about fighters. He knows what fighters have to go through. So when he sees a guy who is clearly unconscious getting the crap beat out of him and the fight not being stopped when it should have been stopped, he's, in my opinion, justified in shouting stop and then giving the referee. Should he have been so overly passionate and aggressive after the fact? Probably not. And he probably could have talked to her in a more professional manner
of course.
to where it wouldn't have escalated to the point where Dana White now has to warn people that if you say anything to the ref at all, you're being fired.
Yeah,
Because now it's created an issue where now nobody can say anything to the ref. And it makes you wonder if you're on the commentating team or you're a fighter, even if you say anything about a referee's decision in passing or as an observation, what does that mean for you? Is that, do you get a slap on the wrist, or is some form of disciplinary action being taken? Because I feel like for a lot of people, they are entitled to say what they're going to say. But like I said, should Dan Hardy have been so in Herb's face about it? maybe not. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you have to consider,
Hi.
yeah, you have to consider that Dan Hardy is, in a way, he's sticking up for somebody who Herb, in a way, kept him from being safe. And when we talk about that Francisco Trinaldo and Herbert fight, uh, even Trinaldo knew the guy was out, and I don't want to keep hitting him. Herb didn't call it when he should have, and we all know that from my perception. I don't know how many other people feel this way. I can understand where Herb was coming from, because in his mind, from from the way that Herbert fell when he was stunned and left unconscious and he went stiff, his hand was already in a defending position
Yeah.
like this. So when he fell, his hand was still up like this. So from Herb's perspective, it looks like he's still defending himself, even though he has absolutely no idea where he is. And that's
And he
understandable.
also and he also got hit on the forehead, which people don't usually go to sleep when they get hit in the forehead like that.
Yeah, usually, but we have seen it happen before. And
But we have seen it happen.
when you see someone
It was
fall
just
like that,
yeah. When you see somebody fall like that, but then he also put his hands up, it was all in all, it was just a weird situation that many refs would have messed up anyway.
right? And there's been plenty of times where referees have called it and it shouldn't have been called off.
Yeah,
There's so many instances where things can go wrong. My biggest
yeah.
concern now is that with Dana White now adopting such a strict policy to where now you can't say anything to the ref, it makes me wonder, does that mean, can you not say anything to the ref the night of? Can you not say anything to the ref, outside on social
A month
media?
later,
Exactly. Because I think back to when Colby Covington had that dispute with Mark Goddard
yeah.
after he got TKO'd by Usman. And I mean, that was immediate, that was the night of, that was after. Uh, Covington was extremely displeased. So what does that mean for if something like that were to happen again? What does that mean?
Or give you a better example, when commentators slash fighter Dominic Cruz fought and then told that his ref smelled like beer and cigarettes on social media the night of,
Yeah, was that
and
the
in the or and
Cejudo fight?
yes,
Okay.
sorry,
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's another good example. See, for me, it's just one of those things where it could be a potentially slippery slope, because
it
how
is
many
the first.
times? Yeah, because I mean, and we assume, and from what Dana White said, I don't think he explicitly said just referees. I think he said any official, and to me, that
Yeah,
says referees and doctors. And we all
yeah,
know from past
and
experiences,
cut man
yeah,
and
we,
corner side people.
yeah, those pretty much anybody that works there that's not part of the commentating team or any of the corners team. Uh, but I mean, we've had so many experiences in the past, like when Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz fought, and a lot of people were, shitting all over the doctor that called that fight.
Yeah,
So
not gonna happen anymore apparently.
yeah, it's going to
People
be
are just
interesting.
bad at their job now.
Yeah, so now it means that nobody can tell you when you've done wrong. It means that now you're infallible for any mistake
Unless
you
Dana,
make.
unless Dana White specifically says something.
Yeah, unless Dana White specifically says something. And it brings up my point where it's like now you're giving all the power to the president. First of all, you shouldn't be able to, if someone has a dispute with someone and they feel the need to tell that person about it, I think it should be as simple as let them figure it out amongst themselves at a personal level, and then on a professional level, it can fall to the higher ups and figure out where they go from there. Because I hope Dan Hardy comes back. I don't want to see that broadcast be Dan Hardy's last broadcast. Um, but I do remember last night Dana White specifically said, I don't, he had a problem with the doctor not calling the fight in between the rounds for Shahbazyan. Um, so I mean, at least I can imagine Dana White being intelligent enough to know when someone's done something definitely wrong. What I don't like about the initial Dan Hardy Herb Dean dispute was that a lot of people were giving Herb Dean a pass just because Dan Hardy said anything at all.
Yeah.
And even Herb Dean initially was playing the bypass game or the brush off game, more of the shifting of the blame to another issue as opposed to addressing the stoppage itself.
Yeah. Noticed that as
And
well.
yeah, and so that was just pretty bad to me, but yeah, so hopefully this kind of just works itself in time. We'll see if there's any other issues relating to that. But anyway, moving on, we'll just go ahead and briefly go over the rest of this card. That was kind of like, I know I kind of went off a tangent there, but that was kind of like the main thing I felt like I had to get across. It was like one of the biggest takeaways I've taken from this past week, really.
Can I say one thing about the card in its entirety, though?
Sure.
I thought it was almost better that it was only 4 fights on the main card.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, it starts at 9, and then I was like, it was over at 11, and then I went to bed, and I was like, well, that was like a perfect amount of fights, and they were all good.
Yeah, I agree. It was
the 10 groin strikes.
Oh God, yeah, I had heard about that. Wow.
God, that so many in the end. It was like 9 or so on the undercard. It was crazy.
Yeah, that one that Vicente Luque delivered to Randy Brown was just really, really up there. That was just right under into the gooch. God, that was brutal. Anyway,
did you see this sheep that they sent to Vicente Luque?
Oh, this guy, Randy Brown.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was just. It's one of those things where he was just on the cusp of getting into the rankings.
Yeah, and himself. Then they just give him to number 11 just to get shit on.
Yeah, it was. I mean, don't get me wrong. He definitely he had some good moments himself in the second round.
He's definitely a good up and coming fighter, but like the same kind of thing with Brunson and Shahbazyan, when you just put somebody who's just got that little bit of edge over you when you're just up and coming.
Yeah, it was a little what's the right word here? It was a little it was, yeah, like you said, it was kind of a sacrifice more than anything else for Vicente, because they want to because they know Vicente is really good. He's a showstopper. He's a very entertaining fighter, so they want to put him up against somebody that they know are just two guys that are going to sit there and bang, which is really nice. I mean, really, for Randy Brown, this was, talking about him more than anything for a second, this was really a moment for him to be able to test himself. This is one of those moments where you have to fight a guy like Luque so that you can really see where you are and you can understand what gaps you need to be able to fill in.
Yeah.
First of all, big thing you got to work on, Randy Brown, those legs. You've got to stop skipping leg day.
How many legs did he get? Scroll down a little bit.
I don't even know if you can see his legs, but I'm telling you, it was. I'll see if I can look it up while we're talking about it. But it's definitely one of those things where that was a big contributing factor to his own downfall, I would say, because how many times in the fight did he get kicked clean off his feet?
Several.
Exactly.
And then they were just so damaging to where you could just see, like, in the first round, you could see how much weight he had to put onto his other leg.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's I joke about, what I said, but it's easily, here, let me see if I can just, here we go. Vegas 5 results, Maya arm bars, Calderwood, Luque KOs, Brown with barely legal knee. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, that was just one thing. It really kind of came down to Luque's more technical striking. I don't know why I opened this up if there's not anything on there.
Come on, Jamie.
Yeah, I know. Here we go. Pull this up. we'll probably
Just want
have
to,
something right here.
just want to see them leg kick numbers because I bet it was fucking ridiculous.
Oh yeah, here. Let me pull that up right here on this page. Is
You can do it.
this?
I believe in you.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. And anyway, so let's see. Yeah, here we go. Here's the statistics on that. Yeah, 26 leg kicks.
Mate,
Yeah, that's pretty big. And
clean slappers too.
oh yeah, yeah. Let me just pull up a picture of Randy Brown. Really, more than anything. Um,
Make fun of his calves.
yeah, I think this might be the only picture right here that shows his legs at all. But I mean, you can just kind of see the difference between his leg, Luque's legs. I mean, comparatively, really, the biggest takeaway here is that comparatively to the rest of his body, I mean, he's so tall that if he just bulked up a little bit more in certain areas, then he could probably make middleweight.
Yeah, and
Um, so
definitely do good over there too.
yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the biggest takeaway from that. I mean, for me, really, this is obviously the end of the fight. Right here is when Luque finished him in the second. In the second, Randy Brown was actually coming back a little bit.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah, he was actually coming back right towards the end.
And then he got hit with that barely legal knee.
Yeah, it kind of came down to he was weaving a lot. He was bobbing and weaving a lot. He was dodging a lot of Luque's strikes. And really, Luque just said, "Give me your head." He grabs it, and then he actually holds him up long enough to deliver a devastating knee. And we can even see, I rewatched the replay so many times to see how close Randy Brown's fingers came.
He was like this close.
It was that close. Like he literally comes down
Like
with
this close. I know he was holding him up, so it was like this.
yeah, like his
He was like this close to touching it.
I think it didn't even look like he was really holding him up that much. Like people were trying to say that he literally like lifted him up, but it almost looked like he just got the knee, like he kept him in place, but it looks like he got the knee just in time because like it comes down like where my fingers are about to hit the bottom of the screen. Like he went like this and he was about to touch it. Bam.
Yeah.
It was insane. And then
the way since I also did the same thing and kept rewatching it, I was just like, all right, he's about to touch, and then he just holds him right there.
Yeah. It's
boom,
so close. It's so close. And he hit him, and the ref was like, that was legal.
Yeah,
fair,
he goes,
was fair strike.
Close.
Fair play. That
Yeah.
was great. That was really something. And then I obviously right here, you know, he finishes him with strikes as soon as he is on the ground. And people were talking about it afterwards. And I never really think about it that often, but when you get to that point where you start reaching for the ground because you know a knee is coming, then you're making the mistake of relying on the ref to save you.
Yeah, which is what some of the commentators were saying too.
Exactly. And at that point, I think it was like Paul Felder or somebody that said at that point, just take a knee.
Just take a knee, yeah.
Yeah, because you're leaning into it more than anything. You're just putting yourself in the position to get, fucked like that, and you just don't want to be in that position. And Luque just really took that and capitalized on it. And Luque came in this really strong. Talk about him now. He really came in this. Very, very strong and powerful. He wanted to get the sub. Yeah, he said he wanted to get the sub going into the fight, and he got like he tried to put himself in a position to do so. He let himself get taken down,
which was a beautiful takedown.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
I was so mad when it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, because I mean that was just textbook level takedown stuff right there. But yeah, like you said, didn't really end up going anywhere.
most of the fight, I was just like, all right, they're doing good. And then that takedown happened, and I was like, oh, and then it didn't go anywhere. And I was like, oh, no.
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
got so excited for a second.
yeah, and it's even crazier because we know that he was very, very close to making it out of the second. Randy Brown was,
Yeah.
um, as you can see, like he only had like 5 seconds left, but I mean that just it ended it right there for him. He couldn't. He was out. You know, he was done. And Luque is one of those people where if he sees the opportunity, he takes it. You know, and he's had problems in the past we know of just getting into all out wars with people, putting himself in a position to where he is going to take a lot of damage in the hopes of dishing out just as much damage,
If not more.
if not more. He likes getting those counter punches in there and all that jazz. But yeah, it seemed like it was just like it probably he did a lot better. He says he feels like he did a lot better. I feel like he did a lot better. Um, and he really just stuck to his guns here and played the technical game. Didn't want to rush in too much, and he got like two really good knockdowns on Brown here. Would have been three if Brown hadn't held on to the cage at that one point, caught himself.
Yeah.
I think the ref or somebody said something like, you know, don't grab the cage like that. You can't grab the cage because that that took away a point in a way from Luque. But at the end of the day, it didn't end up mattering because he got the nice finish. So that was really good. Good on Luque.
So
Um,
hard.
it's pretty interesting. He after the fight, he calls out my boy Nate Diaz.
Yeah, very interesting. Wasn't expecting that one.
I wasn't expecting it either. I think it was because he said that Nate Diaz is right below him in the rankings. He's number 12 or something like that because Nate Diaz has just been really inactive and is just slipping and slipping and slipping in the rankings. And he hasn't even really been in talks with the UFC, I think, for another fight. So it seems more than anything, it's a very unlikely fight to take
Yeah.
place. But I did have an article pulled up right here where I was looking at what somebody thinks would be good fights for these people. This is by Zane Simon on Bloody Elbow. So let me pull it up. He actually thought that, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he actually thought right here, Vicente Luque versus Anthony Pettis is the kind of fight Luque deserves. And that's a pretty interesting fight for Pettis, if Pettis wants to try his hand at climbing the rankings again.
Yeah.
And it's good for Luque because that's a good challenge right there. And obviously, because of both men, that's going to be a showstopper.
I agree.
Yeah. So where does Randy Brown go after this? I don't know. I think we've got some suggestions. Maybe it's kind of hard to tell. He's gonna have to just fight whoever he can. I think right here we've got Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. It's just gonna kind of come down to Randy Brown, like I said, filling in those gaps. I think he's got good boxing. I think he's got good wrestling. I think that he just needs to work on the basics a little bit more. If work on your leg checks, I mean, seriously, like the leg work is.
Yeah, really. I know. He really didn't check that many.
Yeah. It's really going to come down to, because if you're not going to bulk your legs up and really kind of build that padding, then it's going to come down to you have to be more technical than your opponent, and you got to check those kicks. So yeah, just great fight all in all. I think Vicente Luque actually got the $50,000 bonus after this for one of his performance of the night. I'm pretty sure, along with going back a peg here, Jennifer Maia of the women's flyweight division,
getting that arm bar, dude.
That was pretty amazing. That was pretty nice. So Jennifer Maia beats Joanne Calderwood, who was at the time the woman who was in place for a title shot against Valentina Shevchenko. Now that Maia has defeated her, it is now Maya's ball game. She is now the one that has taken Calderwood's place. Oof. And is now going to be fighting Shevchenko for the title. It's basically already pretty much confirmed. They just have to figure out the time and place for when that's going to take place. But Maya calls out Shevchenko. Shevchenko accepts, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Really, the interesting aspect of this fight is that Calderwood didn't have to take this fight.
I know.
Is
That's
the story
what I was
here.
kind of sad for.
Yeah, apparently she filled in for someone else. I think I have the name right here, so I don't want to miss out on that. Yeah, Vivian Arujo. She dropped out. I forget the reason for, but Calderwood took her place, and Maya promptly took it from her. And Maya looked really, really good. She also got the performance of the night bonus. She was just on her game. You know, she was light on her feet, and her grappling game was on point. Her jiu-jitsu was on point. I was kind of impressed that impressed, probably not being the right word, that Calderwood chose to take her down. And,
yes,
and start working on the ground.
The second I saw the difference of how they were faring on the ground, I was like, that was not a good idea.
Yeah, because it was very easy to see how Maya was just able to pull guard really easily.
I mean, she's got the legendary last name of submissions artist, so
yeah, if your name is Maya, you automatically are a winner.
Yeah, you're gonna choke somebody out.
Yeah, and the transitions were just really, really beautiful. You know, she was constantly trying to climb the body with the legs to get that triangle. She's hand fighting. She's fighting off her back, and then she eventually just sinks in that arm bar, and you know that's all she wrote. So really good on her part. The other really interesting thing about this is that Calderwood was actually the second person of the night to faint, and apparently she fainted after the fight had occurred. And had to be rushed to the hospital. And we don't know why.
Yes, this is just hot in Las Vegas.
It may be. It makes me kind of wonder if because Calderwood did not look as sharp as she usually does in the fight. So now it kind of makes me think retroactively that there might have been some form of weight cutting issues that she had because remember she took this fight on somewhat short notice.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes me wonder if she had put herself in a position where it was going to be negative for her. Yeah, too strenuous on her to cut weight as quickly as she did in the way that she might have done. I don't know. Like I said, I'm speculating because we haven't received any hard information. There's probably information out right now by the time we're recording this, but as of last night to this morning, I haven't heard anything. So hopefully she's all right. I think like I said, she got taken to the hospital. So everything should be okay. So we'll see.
The best.
Yeah. So moving on to our last little bout we had right here. We had Lando Venata versus Bobby Green.
2.
Yes, 2. A rematch from 2017. This was awesome. This was nice. This was the
fight of the night.
Yep, this was fight of the night. Well deserving.
I was like, this is it. This is the fight of the night already.
Yeah, this was pretty great. It started out really competitively in the first round, very even, pretty much. But then by the second and third, it was Bobby Green's.
Bobby show.
Yeah, it was Green's all day, and I almost thought that he almost finished him even in the second round. I'm pretty sure, or third. I can't remember in which one he was in the clinch and he was landing some heavy knees, and then he just came up and caught him with that elbow, and that sent Venata all the way to the canvas. He wasn't out obviously, but he did fall to his ass, and he was trying to just kind of scramble backwards. and Green was just all over him. And I think that was the second. I could be wrong, but I think that was the second.
as well.
So
But do you know what my biggest takeaway was?
what's that?
It is okay to slap dudes on the butt when you're fighting them.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
He goes, "We almost done, babe," and just slaps him on the butt. I thought that was the biggest. I was like, bros.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were talking shit. Yeah, they were talking a lot of mad shit pretty much the entire fight.
That's the kind of fight where it had to be in that kind of closed off environment with only a few people there.
Oh, yeah.
Or it wouldn't have been as special, I don't think.
Yeah, it was because it felt like it was just more of a personal thing between these guys. They had already fought before.
Dude.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was nice. It was definitely fun. I enjoyed it a lot. And really, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about. Well, the second, I got the notification on my phone saying, "Oh, it's about to start." Put it on. Had the thing where the commercials weren't going, and said, "Well, we'll get to it soon." Then it finally got on at 9:10 or so, and the fights actually did start. And I was like, "Well, I had to wait a little bit, but this was worth the wait. This is a good fight of the night to start with."
Yeah. Yeah, so Bobby Green is going to be moving up. I love seeing these lightweights, man. These guys are crazy. That's like the right kind of weight for any kind of crazy fight, grappling, striking. I mean, these guys they got it all.
That's the best, I think.
Yeah.
The
it's definitely the most stacked.
Yeah, featherweight to welterweight is where it could go any way it could ever want to.
Yeah. So possible opponents for Bobby Green, I got pulled up right here. Possibly Drew Dober, which I would be excited for. And then
that's a good one.
Yeah, but then likely the author of this article says that likely what would happen is Bobby Green versus Renato Moicano.
Ooh, I'd like that fight.
Yeah, so that would definitely be something to look forward to. I'll go ahead and just close that because I think we're pretty much we're done with this card. Briefly, we'll just take a quick peek at next week's card, which I know is going to be pretty crazy, pretty insane.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm already brushing up on all my my past fights with Alexei Olenek and Derek Lewis. Really
Black Beast.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. Derek Lewis has he's really just changed the whole way he approaches working out, his style. He's a lot lighter on his feet. We saw that in his Latifi fight. He's throwing flying knees, jump kicks. I mean, he was all over the place.
All over it.
And then Alexei Olenek, we saw from his last fight with Fabricio Verdum. He is the boa constrictor, but we have seen him definitely improve his striking game over the past few years.
Very much so.
Yeah, and his experience is pretty much unparalleled in the heavyweight division, with damn near 75 something MMA fights. The guy has been around since 1997.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
I think he's the only fighter to fight in 3 decades.
Yeah. So that's definitely going to be interesting. We got a great grappler versus a great striker. A lot of heavy hands are going to be flying. And then just the other guys we got on here, Chris Weidman, Darren Stewart, excuse me. And then just pretty much some other people.
Pretty much some other people.
Yeah.
To hear it.
Yep. So that's pretty much it from us. We are looking forward to next week. Lincoln, you got anything else for us?
I do not. Just like it was a quick card, it's going to be a quick podcast, and we're signing off. It was fun. We're glad to be here, give you some entertainment. I'm glad to talk to you, bud. I love you.
Love you too, bud. And I love you guys watching. So we'll definitely see you guys later.